Hello everyone. In this module, we are going to learn how to add error bars in Matplotlib. And the following are the topics that we are going to discuss. Firstly, we will learn what is error bar. After that, we will see the shape of error bar. Then we will learn where to plot error bars. After that, we will understand what do error bar represent. Then we will learn where to use error bar. After that, we will learn on which plots error bars are used, and in last we will see syntax and examples of error bar. Before we start learning how to create error bar, firstly we will understand the meaning of error. Error is mistake, or we can say that difference between calculated value and actual value. Now we will see what is error bar. Error bars are not a chart entirely, they are graphical augmentations that visualize the variability of displayed data on a Cartesian plane. And error bars are used to show how exactly a measurement is by indicating estimated error or uncertainty. In other words, we can say that when we graphically represent the data, some of data have irregularities, and to indicate these irregularities or certainties, we use the error bar. Now we will see what is the shape of error bar. Error bars are usually T-shaped and they are created by drawing cap-tipped lines from the depicted data point center. Here you can see the image of an error bar. On the both the end they have cap, and in the middle of an error bar it shows a data point. So you can see that from the data point it will create a structure like T shape. Now we will discuss where to plot error bars. Error bars are always run parallel to the axis of the quantitative scale. They can be displayed vertically or horizontally depending on whether the quantitative scale is on y-axis or the x-axis. And if there are two quantitative axis scales, two pairs of error bars can be used for both, which I mean for y-axis and x-axis both. Now we will see what does error bar represent. The length of an error bar indicates the degree of uncertainty associated with the data point. If we have short error bars, it indicates that value are concentrated. And if we have long error bars, they indicates that value are more spread out and less dependable. And the length of each pair of error bar tend to be equal on both the side, depending upon the type of a data. But if data is skewed, the lengths on both sides will be unequal. Now we will see where to use error bars. Error bars are used to display standard deviation, minimum and maximum value in the data set, standard errors and confidence intervals. Now we will see on which plots error bars are used. Error bars can be applied on the following graphs. You can apply it on a bar chart, scatter chart, line chart, histogram, area graph and many others also. Now it's time to see the syntax to create an error bar in Matplotlib. So in Matplotlib, the error bar function is used to plot y versus x as a line or a marker with attached error bars. And the syntax is matplotlib.pyplot.errorbar. Then in function we pass number of parameters which are x, y, y-e-r-r, x-e-r-r, then fmt called as format, e-color, e-line width, cap size, bars above, low limbs, up limbs, x low limbs, x up limbs, error, every, cap thick, data and other keyword arguments also. So now we will discuss some of the most used parameter of error bar function. The first parameter is x. It will take value as a float or an array like, and it is horizontal coordinates of the data points. The next parameter is a y. It will take value as a float or array, and it represents the vertical coordinates of the data point. The next parameter is y ERR, and it also take value as a float or array like, and it is a horizontal error bar sizes. The next one is XERR. It take value as a float or an array like, and it represent the vertical error bar sizes. The another is FMT. It take value as a string, and by default the error bars are plotted with marker. You can change the design of a marker by using this parameter, and you can set any of the marker style. You can also use none to plot error bars without markers. The next parameter is eColor. It take value as a color, and it set the color of error bars. The next one is eLine width. It take value as a float. It is used to change the line width of a error bars. The next one is cap size. It will take value as a float, and it is used to change the length of an error bar. And the last parameter is a cap thick. It will also take value as a float, and it is used to set the thickness of a error bar's cap. Now we will see some examples related to error bars. So here is the example related to X error bar, which means we represent the error bar on the x-axis. So firstly I import the Matplotlib pyplot as PLT library, which is necessary step. After that I define the data coordinate, student and marks. Then I define the error, and I assign variable X error to it, and I take it in a array like structure. Then I call a bar chart function bar h to plot a horizontal bar chart, and I pass value students and marks to it, and I set its height to 0.9. Next I plot the error bars. So I pass x as a marks, y as a students, then I call XERR parameter, which is vertical error bar sizes, and I assign X error variable to it. Then I call FMT parameter and assign none value to it. And the last parameter is eColor, which means color of the error bar, and I assign black color to it. Then I add labels to the plot by calling xLabel in the yLabel function. It shows that xLabel represent marks, yLabel represents students, and then I add title to the plot, and in last I call the show function. Now I execute this code, and you can see that this plot shows the marks of the students, and here are the error bars which are in black color, and it represents the maximum marks that can be improved. Now let's see one more example. In this example we add error bars at the y-axis. So again I import the Matplotlib pyplot library as PLT, as it is a necessary step. Then I define data coordinates as temp and oxy level. Then I define error and assign variable y error to it, and I also take value as array structure. Then I call error bar function to add error bars to the plot, and I pass value as temp and oxy level, and then I call YERR parameter, which means horizontal error bar size, and I assign y error variable to it. Then I call FMT parameter, and I assign small o marker style to it, and in last I call the parameter eLine width and assign it to 4. Then I call the grid function to add grid lines to the plot, and after that I call the xLabel and the yLabel function to add labels at the x-axis and the y-axis, which shows that x-axis represent the temperature in degrees Celsius and y-label represent the oxygen level. Then I call the title function to add a title to the plot, so we get know what this plot represent. And in last I call the show function to display the plot. Now I execute this code and here are the error bars. This plot shows the relationship between the temperature and the oxygen level, and these error bars represent the fluctuation of an oxygen level. So you can see that by default error bars look like this, but when I increase the line width of the error bar, it becomes thicker in size. I show you what will happen if I change the line width to 6. You can see that the thickness of the line increases, or we can say the width of the error bar increases. So I again set it to 4. Now let's see one more example. So in this example, I define data coordinate as a train and the hours. Then I define error and I create a variable y error and assign value to it as 2.5, which means it assign 2.5 value to all error bars. Then I call an error bar function which will take value train as an x or as y. Then I call YERR parameter and assign y error variable to it. Then I call FMT parameter and I again assign small o marker style to it. Now I call the parameter cap size to change the cap size and I assign value 6.8 to it. Then I call the cap thick parameter and assign 3.6 value to it. And in last I call the e color parameter and assign red color to it. Then I call the grid line function to add grid lines. After that I call the x label and the y label function to add labels at the x axis and the y axis. So it shows that x axis represent the train and the y axis represent the times in hour. Then I call the title function to add title to the plot, and in last I call the show function to display the plot. Now I execute this code and you can see that. So this plot represents the time taken by the train to reach the destination, and these error bar represent the maximum delay in the time of a train. Here you can see that the error bar has caps, but in default cases the caps are not visible because by default cap size set to none. So here I set cap size to 6.28 so it shows, and I also increase the cap thickness to 3.6, otherwise by default it is also none. And I call e color parameter which change the color of the error bars. So it changed the color of error bars but not the data points. Data points remain in the default color which is blue. But if I call color parameter instead of a e color parameter and execute this code, now you can see that it will change the color of error bar as well as the color of data point. So I hope you get the difference between e color and the color parameter. So with this we have learned to add error bars to the plot, and in the next module we will learn to plot polar chart.